Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nightmare. Today I have for you Pophyric Hemophilia, the scariest build in Oblivion. I'm going to show you how she clears dungeons, stalks her prey, and make all the sheep go blind. It all starts with one look, one thought, one idea, one kill, and the Sufferthorn dagger. This build is the deadliest creation to ever come to life that it could even be banned because it allows you to play the game in ways it should never be played in. Makes it all too easy. First thing you want to do is to explore caves to their maximum depth and clear away the cave's occupancy of bandits. Spend a lot of time underground. This is the only way you're able to satisfy the role-playing criterion required for this creation. You want to use enchanted weapons as soon as possible and come into contact with a blade and blunt weapon as soon as you can, because it's going to unlock the capability of being well versed across the board. Mixing these two types of weapons with the paralysis spell in a cave run will enable you to be on the verge of reaching immortality. You'll be out of reach and out of touch of the victims you forge, while maximizing your elegant brutality, making you a force of nature. When you're not looting enemies or playing in Oblivion's underworld, you want to live a normal life, kind of like an NPC. They eat, they sleep, they grow up, and have jobs. So that's when you want to play the part. In doing so, alternating between the Mages Guild and the Fighters Guild is the best early game option. Even though this character is not of pure will, it can still resemble the life of an NPC from the outside in, but on the inside, the more this video progresses, the worse she will become. Crossing pathways with a bandit is more than just a random encounter. It's a method used for this build to become richer, stronger, and far more powerful than it would otherwise. It enables this character to push through barriers of leveling at a much faster rate. Therefore, increasing your bandit kill count is at the forefront of progress. When you are exploring the world on the surface, you want to try and go to every location, so once you decide to start questing, the location has already been pre-discovered, allowing you to speedrun every task. As opposed to doing it the conventional route, this version will save you a lot of time in the later phases of the game. As a byproduct, your acrobatics and athletics skill will skyrocket if you continuously fall, run, and leap from rocks. After you're satisfied with sufficient exploration and are able to swiftly traverse across Cyrodiil, it's time to ramp things up a little bit by gaining the attention from forces unknown. In order to accomplish this, the Dark Brotherhood must observe that you have slain an innocent, non-essential NPC in one spot, or several. Then, quickly go to sleep to unlock the initiation quest, which is where the Dark Brotherhood will start their onboarding process. This is where you, as a player, get to familiarize yourself with what the organization does in the first place. Once you have completed the first quest, you can begin contract quests at the Cheydinhal Sanctuary, which is located in the basement in the abandoned house in Cheydinhal. This is after you have eliminated. Furthermore, by joining the Dark Brotherhood, you'll be given the Blade of Woe. Even though it is not the Sufferthorn, it still provides its usefulness during sneak attacks or resisting arrest, not to mention the Shrouded Armor, where the same concept applies. I tend to store the armor in my house in the Imperial City Waterfront District because I prefer this build to wear plain clothing. Bear in mind that this character's ultimate purpose is to control both Skinrad and Cheydinhal and to decentralize those two cities to her own will. In her approach, this new delegation of terror allows her to reign in silence while the other parts of Cyrodiil remain centralized and untouched by her trail of horrors. Nonetheless, residing in the Dark Brotherhood Sanctuary in Cheydinhal as a temporary residence will allow her to take shots at her own motives and set the wheels of desire in motion. The evolution of her bribery, coercion, deception, and sneak attacks will flourish most in the Dark Brotherhood. By keeping her activity discreet, she can retain bonuses and become the favorite killer pupil due to her skills. In contrast to her own aspirations, she will abide by the demands of her superiors and will not disobey their commands until the purposeful extermination of the entire sanctuary is sanctioned to be carried out. The clothes I have on rotation are the collared shirt, blacksmith pants, and oiled linen shoes. Sometimes I select the black highwayman shirt. Wearing clothes instead of armor makes you lighter in both threatening and non-threatening environments. I will then suggest that the trade-off for not wearing either light or heavy armor is worth it.
I'm telling you, lad, it's bad luck. Woman on board a pirate vessel. Back in my day, it never would have happened.
In total adherence to this build, you can skip leveling the two armor types until your blade or illusion skill is in between level 75 to 100. These choices overall improve the role-playing aesthetic of the character because your attempt at defensive skills doesn't start until your skills in the attacking category has met a certain threshold. Furthermore, next to the two daggers, I always use a Daedric dagger called Blood Test, since it creates a lot of fast strikes in a short span of time. This lightweight weapon also matches this build's erratic but precise combat playstyle. The dagger is essentially this build's engine of death, due to how smooth the character moves during combat. Sometimes I use enchantments and sometimes I neglect it on purpose to add a more realistic style to her skills. It also adds credibility to her substance. Playing as an affiliate to the Dark Brotherhood without using enchantments places this build in a realistic league of its own. The temperament and nature of this female Breton is directly in line with the wishes of the Dark Brotherhood and places their considerations and rules above and beyond her own self, at least for the duration of her servitude. After she purifies the sanctuary, she'll become more idle and free to be possessed by her own cause horse. The lack of frequent contact with members of the Chadenhall Sanctuary will give her a sense of freedom, the likes of which she has never experienced or known before. As a result, her disposition will be altered and her psyche will be rearranged into something more terrible and will try to seek out her very own hidden propensity for violence. She'll explore the depths of her own mind the same way she explores Cyrodiil, every location discovered and every impulse ticked off. But then there'll be an inflection point where she goes too far and has reached a point of no return, and it won't be by accident. All of a sudden she crosses pathways with someone she should never have crossed with and contracts Pophyric Hemophilia. Now she has an infectious disease. There is a cure, but she chooses not to take it and do nothing by deliberately letting its effects consume her entire being into chaos, laced with a nightly blood hunger. This is not limited to NPCs. As you have joined the ranks of the undead, now you get to share in both gifts and curses they offer. Your appearance will be altered. The more you go to sleep, the more frightening the sleeping prompts will become. Your skin will become more weathered and change your complexion to a pale white. But since the character's face is already pretty, you don't have to worry about aging or acquiring wrinkles. The further this affliction runs its course, the more powerful you will become and experience the total immersion it has in store for you. You'll be granted exposure to both the advantages and disadvantages all the same. Contracting Pophyric Hemophilia from a random vampire-infected bandit throughout a cave run really blends gameplay progression with overworld exploration. This depth of field makes her a hybrid between a necromancer and an up-and-coming vampire. Once you are one with the underworld, changing your perspective on bandits from practice to enjoyment will ease the pressure associated with getting to the next level by lifting the weight of Oblivion off of your shoulders. My recommendation is to either become a vampire at level 1 or at level 20. By default, your vampiric effects can be isolated from the rest of your magic spells by saving them to the hotkey menu. This provides quick access to new vampire abilities. By switching already existing standard spells with death casting, induces drawbacks and perks necessary to make this build unique and as real as possible. Eventually, you'll reach another inflection point. Falling in love with Glarthir. He's tolerated as a town eccentric, but that won't stop you from falling in love with him and starting his quest. You disregard everything in your quest log and focus all of your attention on Glarthir because this build has fallen in love with him. This quest will either make or break you. You agree to carry out his requests and entertain his conspiracies by spying on his suspected stalkers, not to mention meeting him behind the Great Chapel in Skinrad at midnight for 3 nights in a row. This invigorates the playstyle to another level and fills the character with excitement. She even forgets that she's a vampire. After you return to him with the truth, confirming that there is no one following him, to your surprise he will start to attack you. However, you will not lay a finger on him because you want him to live. You decided to forego your past life and start a new life in Skinrad with Glarthir. Due to his actions though, he reopened the gates of your former existence. Suddenly, this character will commit itself to satisfying its bloodthirst with expired compatibility to ever live a normal life again. Whilst being afflicted with Pophyric Hemophilia, you need to search for a sleeping humanoid NPC. In order to feed, simply interact with the sleeping NPC and select feed. This will ensure that you are able to interact with the world without being dismissed for a temporary period of time before restarting the process. The optimal places to do this are targets who have residence, rather than those who simply inhabit guild halls. But once you start this journey of disease, you won't be able to stop. The disadvantages of joining the classified ranks of the undead are sunlight damage, difficulty in restoration, and NPC rejection. But the perks are enhanced stats, increased speed, agility, and willpower, next to some new abilities to go with it as well, which are Hunter's Sight, Vampire Seduction, Embrace of Shadows, and Reign of Terror. Regardless of the undead stage, you'll be 100% resistant to any disease and 100% resistant to paralysis. In essence, once you become immortal, you only have to worry about feeding and avoiding the sun. To do this, I only fast travel at nighttime. This means that I have to wait inside a tavern or a chapel all day long before I fast travel again to a different location. This may sound a little bit tedious, but I would then again suggest that the assets overpower the liabilities. You can always defer back to selling items or charging weapons and consuming potions before fast traveling again. Pophyric Hemophilia isn't just a disease, it's a curse, it's a gift. It's what this build was always meant to be, blending beauty and devastation all into one. You gain the power to dominate Tamriel at nighttime, but in the daytime, the hunger, the fear of being hunted, it never leaves you. Every choice to feed or starve pushes you closer to the edge of madness or mastery. So what will you choose? To starve and discard your impulses while being the outcast, or to feed and increase the odds of fitting into every district? The free choice you have will open 2 separate modes of playing the game, one easier and one harder, so it's up to you to scale the rewards and consequences of both. In conclusion, I hope you enjoyed this video. I read all the comments and I like every single one of them. Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content. Please also let me know if you want me to do a different type of video or if you want me to do another build. Thank you very much.